Hello, everyone out there watching and listening. Thank you for checking out the video. This is Pandemic Isolation number 12. And I didn't really do a whole lot of research this time around. It was kind of hectic yesterday with the last video and the day before, and it's been just kind of high energy. As I expressed in the last video, if you checked it out, I went down to the grocery store to Winn-Dixie and dealt with all that, tried to keep myself sanitary and all that good stuff. Yeah, so there's just a lot going on. We got some pretty dramatic news in my neck of the woods today. We found out today that my county, which is Pinellas County, had issued the stay-at-home order, which is it's kind of loosely based. It's not really at the point where it's going to fine you if you're outside. It hasn't gotten that crazy by any means. Basically, what they're saying is that you're still welcome to go out, take your morning or afternoon walk. You can still drive wherever you need to go as long as it's an essential place. I don't think that the sheriffs are going to be stopping anybody just for being out on the road. It's not that crazy, but it's highly preferred that you just go to places like grocery stores and other essential places that they've designated. But just to just to kind of protect myself at my workplace, since I work in the medical industry, I've gotten a couple of printouts that I'm supposed to show. I guess you'd call them papers if I get stopped by the sheriffs and they're asking me where I'm going. But I don't think the ordinances are that heavy, or this ordinance that they set. But they gave us the paperwork nevertheless, just in case we got pulled over and they were asking us where we were going, what we were doing, and I could show that to them and say that I'm going to work. Here's the proof. Here's my badge. I'm heading to work. So, but what they're mainly trying to do is just keep the groups of 10 and under to an absolute minimum. Any bar, any restaurant, any establishment. I think all bars and restaurants are ordered to have their dining areas closed throughout the state of Florida. Bars in particular, I don't know if there's any bars that are allowed to remain open. I think they'd closed all those. So, but I'm not 100%. Don't quote me on that because I haven't read that directly. But and I also don't go and visit bars, so I honestly don't know. But if they find out that you have a business where you are allowing a group of 10 or more people to congregate in close quarters, or if they are not distancing themselves with a minimum of 6 feet in between, then they will shut down your establishment. And I think they'll shut it down until the emergency order for the whole state of Florida will be lifted eventually in the future. Who knows when that'll be. So if you're a business in this state, at least, and or in this county especially, because that's where this is specifically taking place, and if your business is still open, definitely don't get people crowding together by any means. Like, do everything you can to keep people spaced apart, because if somebody files a complaint against your business, they will shut it down, and I'm sure they'll shut it down immediately as soon as they find out. So I did get some interesting news in light of this. They are going to be sending me personally home to work, and my last day in the workplace will be next Friday. So that was kind of interesting. Good news, I guess, overall. I've never worked at home before, so this will be a new and unique change for me. I do have my workstation set up in my bedroom, which the workplace strongly suggested against. I think that's the status quo. I think that if you have a work at home environment, that you should not set it up in your bedroom, because you might feel like you're kind of a caged animal because you sleep all night in this bedroom, you work all day in the same bedroom, and I could see how that might drive somebody up the wall after a while. But I don't think it's going to bother me too much, and if it does, I have an extra workspace in the house that I can move everything to if need be. It was just actually more convenient to run the Ethernet cable into this area as opposed to the area that I would work at otherwise. So, but yeah, it was good news overall. It definitely is. But because it's moving so fast and management's not used to this level of people, a higher level being like 30 people working at home simultaneously, and they're expecting us to answer phone calls for patients and insurance companies and attorneys' offices, doctors' offices, pretty much anybody that needs medical records specifically, we're going to be taking calls for them. So that's going to be tough, I think, because they ask millions of different questions. And when I was answering phones, I'm not at the present time, I'm sure I will be very soon, but when I was answering phones, every time somebody asked me a tough question and they were impatient, I could just put them on hold for a minute and just step across the way and see a supervisor and ask them, what's your take on this? What should I do? But since we're all working from home, it's not going to be as quick as putting them on hold for a minute and getting a hold of a supervisor, because maybe they're busy with other things and all the supervisors are busy with other things. And what am I going to do? I got this person on the phone who's pissed off because things aren't going the way that they want them to go. They're stressed out, especially with the whole coronavirus going on. Everybody's shut in. Everybody's nervous. They have anxiety. They're just frazzled. And that does not sound fun to me whatsoever. But one thing I will say that I don't know why I didn't think of this before, but I vape. I vape all the time. During the weekends, I hate to say it, but I do vape to the point like where I wake up the next morning, my throat's kind of froggy because just all the vaping I've done, and the amount of nicotine that I put in my liquid is pretty high. And actually, here, let me pause this real quick. I got the bottle just across the way. Let me go check it. Okay, so for those vaping experts out there, I just recently purchased a 250 milliliter bottle. This thing should keep me going for at least 4 months. There's no flavor to it whatsoever. I don't like flavoring in my vape sticks, so I actually go to a specific website. I'm not going to plug them here because this is not what my channel is all about. But yeah, I bought this bottle, 250 milliliters. It's a lot of liquid. It's definitely a lot, and it has 24 milligrams of nicotine in it. So the company that I go through, they say that they strongly suggest to not vape anything that's over 24 milligrams of nicotine in it, because it could get really harsh on your throat. And in the case of this stuff that I get, it's a pretty strong hit every time I take a drag from this liquid. And yeah, I mean, at least 4 months. And I think, to be honest with you, with the amount of money I paid for this thing, I think it was like $18. And it's already pre-mixed. It's got 50% PG, 50% VG, if you know enough about vaping. So, but it's completely flavorless. It's crystal clear liquid. It's kind of the bottle that you're supposed to add flavoring to if you're trying to experiment with your own types of flavoring. But I've tried flavoring. I've tried lots of different flavors, and it always ends up getting really old really fast, and you have to almost professionally clean your freaking vape stick just to get that flavor out of there if you're trying a different flavor. So to me, it's just too much of a pain. So I just go with the unflavored. Plus my filters last a lot longer because they're not getting gunked up with all those flavor additives. So that's pretty cool. I think on average, I get like at least 3 or 4 months use out of one filter, or a coil, or whatever you want to call it. So, but yeah, I'll be able to vape during work. That's kind of cool. I mean, there's nothing to stop me. I'm in my own home, so I mean, why not? I mean, I would assume somebody who's a smoker, and they work from home full time, they would get to enjoy the luxury of smoking while they're at home, right? I mean, you probably don't want to be smoking at your computer because you're probably using your company's computer, and you don't want to gunk it up with nicotine and tar and all that stuff. But anyway, I'm getting kind of sidetracked. But yes, I am really happy. It's been a few days now, but here, let me get rid of this. But my ammunition for my firearms came in the other day. I was really happy about that. I was just really nervous that the post office was going to freeze up, or UPS, I guess in my case, because that's where it came from. But the website that I used to get my ammunition from, and where I bought one of my firearms from, they are saying that they're really backlogged. It's going to take a long time to get your shipment. So I think I got it right on time. And I ordered it this Friday. It would be 2 weeks ago. So I got it in time, got my magazine right here, my mag, and I got my beautiful Betsy here. So, I mean, I guess I'll just, I'll use this moment to load her up for the first time with her new ammunition, because this is a new firearm, and I actually, believe it or not, I actually purchased her back in January, and it was before the whole coronavirus thing got scary for the United States. So I just thought, what, talk about perfect timing. I just so happen to have enough money to get this firearm. It is an AR-15. Okay, so I will say that. I don't think I mentioned that in the previous video where I was kind of standoffish when I wanted to talk about my firearms, but I'll just leave the brand out of it. How about that? So let me go ahead and load her up with her first round of ammunition. Oh yeah. All right, she's locked, loaded, ready to go. safety is always on in case, unless there's a, a crazy circumstance that's happening. But yeah, we got my Betsy. That's what we called her. My daughter and I, by the way. My daughter, she loves firearms. She understands how dangerous they are. Obviously, she's been to the range before. I go to the range fairly often, so obviously, firearm safety. It's definitely vital for you to teach your children, especially if you have firearms in the home. If you just hide it from them, they're going to play cops and robbers with real guns when they find your firearms. So obviously, you need to teach them the overabundance of safety measures that you should be practicing with your firearms. So, but anyway, I was really glad to finally get her loaded up. She feels good. She's got great weight. I've got my scope on her and everything. She's ready to rock and roll. Hopefully, I'll never need her, but it's just nice to be able to have her just in case that, it hits the fan. But go ahead and set her down. So anyway, I don't really have a whole lot set up for news, really. I did get some important stuff out here in my list of articles that I came up with, but nothing really too crazy. In fact, just because the last couple of videos were so fast paced and I felt like I was talking so fast and getting so much out in such a short amount of time because I was pressed for time. I mean, finally, I'm getting this started before 8 o'clock. I figured I would probably just throw up the poker game again and maybe just play that a little bit. And once it's my turn, I might take a pause for what I'm doing or from what I'm doing and just continue on with the news articles if it's a slow round at the table. So I figured I'd do that. And check this out. If you've been following these videos lately, I mean, you'll notice the change here. This is all that I got for my personal notes to give to you. And obviously it'll take like 30 seconds, but I did want to say that, like in the last video, for instance, I said that it was day 11 of the isolation. I had actually been a day behind. I really screwed up because I didn't count the 13th as a day, like the day that they announced the emergency declaration of the entire country of the United States. I didn't really count that day as a day. I just kind of went, the day after was day one. And I think that was kind of a shortfall. I don't think that I should have really done that. I think the day that it was declared should be counted as a day as well. So without wasting too much time, we're at day 13 now, not day 12. So I just thought I would just update you all with that. So that's out of the way. When I watched the president's press conference, I was kind of loosely paying attention to it. The big reason is because I actually have an ad blocker on my Google Chrome, and I'll show you this one in case you have it too. Because yeah, be warned, because when I went to do a Google search today, when you click this tab here and then you just search for something, it'll take you to a Google result because that's everybody's default search on Google Chrome. Well, for me, I actually have this ad blocker that's called AdSkill, and I really want to get rid of it because of this, because I must have had it on, it must have been like a 30-day thing or whatever it is when it was enabled. And if I enable it right now, it'll do the same thing, and I'll show you. But instead of searching for Google, it actually redirects my search to Bing, and it's really frustrating. So it didn't take long for me to figure out what happened, but yeah, but if I, with it disabled right here, I mean, I could just, I don't know, I'll just type the word weather, and then obviously it takes me to a Google search. It shows my local area. So if I let me go back here to the extensions and let me turn this on. Okay, so now it's enabled. Let me get rid of that again. All right, so now it's doing its thing. And now it's probably not going to do it now, but do the same thing, weather, and there you go. See? Boom, it goes to Bing instead. And I mean, who likes Bing? Seriously. I don't like Bing. I just don't like them. It's kind of cool that they show like where you are and like relative to where you are in your state. I mean, I guess like what the hell's the point of that? But yeah, frustrating. So if you have this, and if you recently downloaded it, or if you have this and you wonder why you cannot search Google to save your life and you always get directed to Bing, shut that off and consider getting a new one. The only reason that I'm just going to turn it off when I'm not doing my videos, just because I have saved so many news websites at this point into this ad blocker that I just don't want to get rid of it and start from scratch again. It just took a lot of time to build up all those websites into this list. So I guess I'm just going to leave it on. And once I'm done doing my videos, or once I'm done like researching my videos for this, or whenever I'm done needing Google for any searches, then I'll flip it back on. But I will turn it on for now because I'm done searching. So yeah, that's basically it. Let me just go ahead and throw up PokerStars here. I'm gonna get my game on. Let's see what I got going on here. Get to meet the people in the table. Let me just stick with 7. Sometimes people jump on the table real quick, and it's hard to catch a table if you have 8. Because if there's 8 people there and there's only 1 left, so you take a seat. And that turned out, oh no, there was another one there. So, because you can only fit 9 people at a table, at least in the format that I use. And so I'll go ahead and keep this thing over here. I guess I'll just center it up here about in the middle and get rid of this background information here. And that's me up there, Suncoast Poker. That's my name. If you ever see me out there on here, hit me up in the chat. Just let me know where you found, where you heard from me, if it was on here. But yeah, I'm not particularly good. If you're just now seeing this for the first time, I've had this on in past videos, only a couple of videos, not the bulk of them I haven't, but I play pretty conservatively, definitely. I mean, like what's happened in the past, if I have an ace and a king in my hand, I'm probably going to fold it because I hate them and they never give me anything. But some people, if they have like an ace-2 in their hand and they're not even suited, some people will never fold that hand just because of the ace in their hand. I'll fold that all day long. If it doesn't feel right in my gut, I'll fold it. I just don't care, and I'm usually right. At least I seem to be. So, all right. So anyway, now that I got this up, let me go grab something to drink real quick. I know I just started this thing up, but that's okay. It'll just be a quick like flash of time, and I'll be right back here in 3, 2, 1. All right, and I'm back. Only about a minute or so, but yeah, so I guess I'll just let the cards do its thing. Let's see. When I get started, I'll just wait for it to deal out my hand, and I'll probably go through the first moves of the round here. 8-6 suited, not too bad, not too great. 7-8 would definitely be better, but they still have the same suit, so I mean I could easily be set up for a flush because the two numbers are so close together. Potentially could get a straight flush. That'd be amazing. Seriously doubt it because it never happens. I mean, it's happened to me before, but it's pretty rare. I could get a straight if the diamonds don't come out here. All right, so here we go. 5, 6, 7, 8. Boom. Now all I need is, I'm sure that you can figure that out, a 4 or a 9. And at this point, it doesn't matter if they're diamonds or not. So right now I'm just playing for the straight, but it's only 2 cards, 2 out of 13 cards that I'm going to be requiring to complete this straight. So no face cards out here. So the odds of getting this, in my opinion, is not very good. But you know, things happen all the time with poker. It's just the whole randomness of the game. I mean, who knows? I mean, like a 4 and a 9 could come out afterward because 5 cards come out in total if you're not familiar with Texas Hold'em. And again, I probably just play Texas Hold'em exclusively when I do this video. That 10 sucks. Higher than anything I got and everything that's out on the board. Still betting 500, so I seriously doubt that they've got anything unless they're slow rolling. But, ooh, 1,500. Come on, man. But see, this is where my gut tells me to fold because it's not worth it. Because a 4 or a 9 is not coming out. And if a 4 comes out, I'm not too happy. But look, if a 9 comes out, 5, blank, 7, blank, 9, 10, it just doesn't look good. I mean, somebody will probably have a higher straight than me. See, look, now they're raising on that. But they can't have a 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, obviously. So what do they have? You know what? Just for the sake of the video, because I'm recording right now, to heck with it. Oh, man, a pair of 8s. Plus, there's a flush possibility there. See, he was probably chasing. Somebody there has a flush. Guarantee it. I would bet. I bet $100 right now that either he has a flush or he has a flush. Just the way they were betting last time, they were chasing the flush and somebody just got it. Right there. There's your flush. I'd bet $1,000 at this point that dude's got a flush. I'm folding. Oh, he called. Good, so we'll find out. I'm folding, obviously. Because, oh, he had the flush. Ooh, I guess I would have lost $1,000 if we were in Vegas. But I said at least that somebody had the flush, right? I mean, I guess I was right about that. I thought he had the flush because he just threw in real quick. He did what I would have done. if I were in his shoes, I would have done the same. If I had a flush when the last card came out, I would have been the one to just pretend I had nothing. I would have just checked and not put any chips out there. Be like, no, I don't have anything. So then when this dude over here decides to just blow up because he thinks he has a good hand, me, who's hiding over here with the flush, would have just nailed him. I mean, just like what that dude did. So he should have raised him. I don't know why he didn't. He must have thought he had a flush too. But anyway, yeah, so I got a 4 king here. Nothing really worth playing. So I'm still leaving this thing up. I don't like leaving that up. Okay, so I guess I'll just go ahead and get into these articles. Nothing earth-shattering. Yes, there was the third wave of the series of bills that the Congress has been trying to pass. They did pass the third wave one, the big one, the big enchilada, the $2 trillion spending bill. It was passed. I think they voted on it, right? It's now a Wednesday evening. They announced to the public that they've come to an agreement, Republicans and Democrats in the Senate, and they were expected to vote on it today. So I would assume they're either doing that right now as I speak, or they just recently voted on it and I hadn't caught it in the news yet while I was still searching. So, but they said that they came to an agreement and they will be voting yes on it. So it just has to formalize. And once they vote yes on it, then this bill goes back to the House, where the House will vote on it. That's when I think Nancy Pelosi is going to pick the whole thing apart and be like, no, let's shove it in this Green New Deal thing and this deal thing and this, that, and the other bunch of crap we don't need in this coronavirus situation, all this stuff that has nothing to do with coronavirus. Let's just try to slip all of that under the rug and hopefully nobody notices it. And we'll just like lightning fast pass this thing. And then maybe President Trump won't catch any word that we threw in a bunch of left-wing garbage into it. But he already said if there's anything that's Green New Deal related in it, he said he's not signing anything. So, and I commend him for doing that. No matter how arbitrary it might be or how insignificant that whatever it is might be, I'm not doing it. So I really hope that's going to be the case, and I really think it will. But I don't think Nancy Pelosi would be stupid enough to do that, because they are. You want to talk about thin ice with Democrats? You want to talk about hot water, thin ice, the whole 9 yards? Impeaching the president just a couple of months ago. Did everybody forget about that yet? I mean, just crazy. I mean, it was insane. Like when President Trump ordered that China was not allowed to travel into the United States because of the coronavirus, the same day he was doing that was the same day that the Senate was on an impeachment trial for him. It just boggles my mind. You know, the whole Russiagate thing, the fake news media, I mean, I know there's probably people listening to this that are like, shut STFO. But it's just frustrating. It really is. It's frustrating because a lot of that crap, I mean, whether you like to hear it or not, it's freaking fake news. A lot of it's stupid, fake clickbait media garbage. They want to hype up these stories to make them super dramatic because the media's on its way out. They're dying. I mean, there's no money left in it. Back when they had advertising, like commercials, and they had ads in newspapers and all that, yeah, they were doing just fine. But now that Facebook and Google has gobbled up almost all of the ad media across the entire internet, the only thing that the media has left, like the newspaper, newsprint, or digital media, or whatever it is you want to call them, the only thing they really have left is just clickbait. And if they have anything else other than clickbait, I guess the only thing would be like every time you move your cursor up here to the top, they hit you with this giant window that says, please subscribe for 25% off for the next 30 days or some crap like that. And the New York Times won't even let you read an article unless you subscribe to them, which is like freaking $7 a month. So if you want any proof that all these media outlets are on their way out, like CNN, Washington Post, and New York Times, yes, they'll theoretically, I guess, will be around for another 5 years, maybe 10 years, but they will be so irrelevant compared to where they were 20 years ago. Oh my God. I mean, it's insane. Not something I want to get into, to be honest with you. I mean, I obsess over politics enough. I don't want to bring all that into this because this is geared toward just coronavirus. That's what I want to stick to. But we're entering a stage in this coronavirus reporting, as far as reading the articles and reading the content and informing you of what's going on, that now it's getting partisan because they're trying to pass bills that will supply money to people who need money. So this is where the political bug crawls out of the ground, or crawls out of my head, and now I have to start talking about it. And that's when, my 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 hair trigger toward Democrats starts to surface, and here I go on these tirades and stuff, which I don't mean to do, but once I get going, it's kind of hard to stop because it's just so frustrating because it's all garbage. I mean, the bubble that so many people live in, especially on Twitter, the Twitterati, and some I can't. I mean, don't you can't quote me on it because I don't know exactly where I read this, but apparently something like 1/3 of everybody on Twitter that has a verified check mark is a freaking journalist. That blew my mind. Like, yeah, I'm sure that's true. That sounds about right. They just live in this little bubble, this little fantasy. And then in this other not so little bubble is the world of the president, where he's got like 75 million Twitter followers, which is unimaginably massive in terms of how many people are actually following him. But it's just it's insane. It's crazy. I mean, I just yeah. No, I won't inject personal opinions into this any more than I have to. But I mean, we all have the right to vote for whoever we want, to let any party represent us any way we want them to. I guess. I mean, I don't really understand how the Democrats were so influential. I guess they did because of the whole thing with the original New Deal. I mean, I'm sure that made a lot of people happy during the Great Depression with Social Security. That definitely helped things out. 2-7 off, that's the worst hand you can possibly have. So most people, they just call it, just because sometimes you like 3 sevens theoretically could flop out and I could have a 4 of a kind, but watch that happen now. But I mean, like, take it further back. Take it back to actually take it back to the very first president. Okay, so who do you think was the very first president of the United States as a Democrat? And what's funny is that this shocks a lot of Democrats because they're trained to hate him. They've been steered into the direction to tear down this person's statues and hate him because he's a racist. He had slaves. He owned slaves. And I got a big slick with spades. Ooh, I'll call it. I mean, why not call it? But anyway, without suspensing or putting you in so much suspense for a prolonged period of time, it's Andrew Jackson. Andrew Jackson is the first Democrat president in American history. Yes, the guy that owned slaves, the guy that slaughtered Indians, the guy that was behind all that nonsense, the guy that was behind everything that Democrats today say that you should absolutely detest now. Oh, that is nice. Look at that. I need 1 spade to get an ace high flush with the king kicker, meaning that if anybody else has a flush out here, I got him. I mean, I could be wrong, but I think I've got a guarantee here. If a spade comes out, it is mine. Because there's no straight flush chance. There's definitely no royal flush unless it's for me. All right. But yeah, Andrew Jackson, he was the first Democrat president ever. And, you roll the years along, and then the Civil War happens that we fought over with slavery. The Union, the North, we fought against slavery. We fought to free the slaves. And that was Abraham Lincoln who was leading that charge, who was, by the way, a Republican. And I mean, that should have scored some good brownie points for people who are anti-slavery. But apparently they like to stick with the Democrats. And once the whole... Oh, come on, man. Seriously? That's why I hate the freaking stupid big slick. I hate this crappy hand. This hand sucks. I guess in theory, if that was the 2 of spades, it would have been a pretty awesome hand. But clearly, I'm not going to call that. That's stupid. But you still have those idiots. They're like, I can't let them go because they're too awesome. It's an ace king. I can't let it go. I got to do it. I got to do it. And then he beats you like with a pair of 2s. Anyway. So, the whole Abraham Lincoln thing happens with the Civil War, and he gets assassinated and all that, and the slaves are free, which is good for everybody, especially Republicans. Republicans hated slavery. We're the ones that wanted to free the slaves during the time of the Civil War. And then once the Civil War was over, then you started getting these factions of people who are super racist in the South, which, by the way, the vast majority of the Confederacy were Democrats. You might get... You might get the words twisted by political Democrats today because they call them Dixiecrats. But no, that's absolutely not true. There was the North, Republicans, vast majority. And then there was the South. They were Democrats, vast majority. And it just blows my mind. It's like, how do people say that they're Democrats and that they hate racism, they hate slavery, they hate this, that, and the other, but you're a Democrat. You know you're siding with the party that fought for slavery, right? I mean, that was the party that was desperately trying to keep slaves. And it goes all the way back to Andrew Jackson, who had slaves, and he was a Democrat. And, you know, I don't want to paint it too clearly because I don't know enough about Andrew Jackson to be able to in the first place. But I just know, I think it was the War of 1812 during the battle for New Orleans. I think Andrew Jackson, who was a general at the time, led the charge for that. And that's what propelled him up into national stardom when he won that battle. But I know he had a huge negative influence on Native Americans or American indigenous or whatever, you know, political correctness term we're supposed to be using today. But I mean, it's just crazy. So, I mean, the Democrats, they love to give out free benefits because if you give the voters free money and they don't have to work for it, then yeah, they're going to totally vote for you because everybody likes free money. I mean, that's pretty much the entire platform of the Democrats. The bigger the government gets, the more people are dependent on it. So therefore, they are, in their theory, that they would get more voters who were not very well off, that are not upper middle class or higher, because if you just give them, you know, free benefits like the Obama phone, for example, back in like what 2008, 9, 10, something like that, there was the Obama phone. So if you lived below a certain income, that you could get a free cellular phone that was paid for by the government, which they tried to reinfuse into this third wave spending package for coronavirus, and they tried to revamp the Obama phone with a $1 billion package. But anyway, whatever. I don't want to get into this tirade. I just want to get into these articles here that I've lined up. I just wanted to play a couple of rounds here. Didn't really want to get into all that. I really do apologize. If you are a Democrat, I mean, I do have very much respect for you because this is a free country. We're allowed to vote for anybody we want to. We're allowed to support anybody we want to. To be honest, I voted for Obama twice, like I said in the last video, or maybe it was the video before. But I'm a two-term Obama voter. I voted for him both times. Now, if you want me to speak honestly, I was just naive. I just didn't know much about politics to really care. I just knew that my close friends and a few of my relatives voted for Obama. Most of my relatives are conservative Republicans, a couple of which are like very strongly. I mean, like one of my aunts, she was a diehard George W. Bush supporter. I'm like, what? Are you serious? Like that dude fumbled like crazy in front of the cameras. But then I just noticed on my own, without seeing this anywhere else, if you see Obama out there on the stage, and you could probably look this stuff up on YouTube, if he's up on stage delivering this perfect presidential speech and everything sounds perfect, and if his teleprompter fails, oh my God, he crashes and burns. You think George W. Bush was bad. Obama stutters and stutters. It's crazy how much he stutters when he doesn't have everything laid out in front of him. It's hilarious. It's absolutely hilarious. So I got the top pair here, sevens. I mean, if you haven't broken your screen by now because you're a strong supporting Democrat and you're just like spitting fire at your screen right now because of what I'm saying. Shame, shame, shame. Whatever. Give me a break. Trump's not that bad, okay? You might think he's bad. He's definitely got a negative personality to some point. He's definitely got a giant ego. But dude, he's got his name on everything. I mean, didn't the rap community, the hip hop community about 10 years ago, they might as well worship the ground that he walked on because I mean, he was in tons of rap songs 10, 20 years ago, talking about owning planes with his name on it in gold, by the way. Had all these hotels, these giant skyscrapers with his name on it. I mean, you know, he was an OG, but I guess that just kind of disappeared since he became president because the Democratic Party taught you to hate him, despite the fact that he's doing a hell of a great job as president, in my opinion. I mean, like one of those things that like Owen Schroyer, if you don't know these conservative types on YouTube, the conservative YouTube personalities that have a big following, I mean, he's just one example. He likes to go into crowds of protests and they like they're screaming hate Trump, this, that, and the other, orange man bad, whatever, and and he'll go up to somebody who's screaming all that stuff, and he's like, why do you hate Trump? He's a freaking liar. He lies about everything. Okay, well, what's one thing he lied about? He lies about everything. Well, what's one? Or if you got more than one, give me three. You can't even give me one, can you? Like, what's one thing he lied about? Or it's like, he's a racist. He's racist. All right, well, what's one racist thing that he said? Well, he said, I don't have something offhand, but there are a few examples that they like to throw out, which end up getting debunked left, right, and center. And they say he's a misogynist. He hates women. He grabs women by the blank and this, that, and the other. But Donald Trump has employed more women to the executive branch than any other president in history of this country. But a misogynist wouldn't do that, right? I mean, that's just one example. He's also the first president in American history to be pro-gay marriage before he was elected. Yes, it is true. Do your homework. Even Barack Obama was anti-gay when he was elected president in his first term. I am not going to call that crap. But it's just, I mean, honestly, if you just really clear your head from all that fake news, propaganda, media garbage, I mean, you can even throw Fox News into it. You can throw Breitbart into it. You could throw One America News into it. You can throw everything into it. Daily Wire, Daily Caller. I think Daily Caller's conservative. Anyway, if it's not, my apologies. But, just erase the whole thing and just look at it 100% objectively without somebody telling you what to think. If you did it on your own, you would be surprised of what you've seen that our president has accomplished that you would actually be pretty pleased with. So all I got to say is I think we're in way better shape right now with the coronavirus situation. I mean, if you can't agree with anything else, you have to at least agree that we're better off with Donald Trump than Joe Biden. And since, if you call that a low blow, you're like, well, that's not freaking fair. He's never even been president. So how are you going to call him out when he's not even tried? All right, well, fine. Let's go back to Hillary Clinton. Do you think Hillary Clinton would have done a better job than Donald Trump? I doubt it. I think Hillary Clinton, the border with travel into China would probably still be open today. It would be mass pandemonium. It'd be crazy. I mean, I don't know that for a fact. Nobody can know that because it didn't actually happen. Please say I didn't have a 6. Okay, good. Thank God. I don't know. Whatever. I'm in no shape to be yelling all this stuff right now because I don't have anything laid out in front of me. I have nothing to show you as far as that. I'm just throwing crap out of my memory. I mean, don't quote me on everything, but 90% you probably could. I did actually. I mean, if you are a conservative by any chance, I mean, if I'm not the only one, that's or like if I'm preaching to any choir out there, whether how small or how big, and if you're a Steven Crowder fan, Louder with Crowder, he actually just announced. I saw the video today. I don't know if it was posted today. It might have been yesterday, but he's apparently increasing the cost for Mug Club. He didn't say how much. He said he has to bring it up. But he said before he does, he's going to offer a lot of free content for the next couple of months because of coronavirus, which is a really smart marketing move, I think. He's going to start doing like a wake up with Crowder or something like that. Like Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, he's going to do a morning show. And he's got some other content lined up for his viewers. But I guess he took that idea off of some mainstream TV hosts who are they're apparently going live in their bathrooms while they're taking a bath and all this weird stuff, and just because they're trying to stay out of the studio, they can't have a studio audience, and so apparently they're just getting kind of strange with the way they're taking their shows. But Steven Crowder thought that he would kind of jump on that bandwagon and start publishing more content because everybody else is stuck at home. So why wouldn't you try to capitalize on that in some way and push out more content and offer it free? So it's like a free trial kind of thing, but you don't have to sign up for it. You just have to be on YouTube, because he said he's going to start publishing a lot of his content that people normally pay for onto YouTube so everybody can watch it for a brief period of time. And I think he said like 3 months, something like that. Because at first I was like, you're going to jack up the Mug Club? It's already $100 a year for most of us. And I'm not a Mug Club member. I can't afford that. Are you kidding me? $100? If anything, he needs to come off that a little bit. I do subscribe to Tim Pool. If you're like a middle of the road kind of person politically, and if you like to learn about politics, and if you want to hear somebody who somebody who is very objective, somebody who just sees it for what it is, incredible amount of common sense, somebody who doesn't praise Donald Trump, somebody who doesn't praise anybody on the left or the right, but he calls himself a liberal, though. I think he's way less liberal than he thinks he is, but he says that he's a pretty staunch liberal. Great person to watch, great content. I mean, it's really good to watch and follow. Some really interesting videos that he does, and he just tells the world how it is, and he's I would say he's always right about it. So I give him $5 a month for that. I mean, why wouldn't I? I mean, he's got he has a really good point of view, and he's also given a shout out, believe it or not, on Fox News. Tucker Carlson does a show. Tucker Carlson Tonight. I think it's on at 8:00 Monday through Friday. I usually watch it the next morning. I kind of bootleg it on YouTube. You know, like some of those channels out there, they'll try to put a show like Wheel of Fortune or whatever, and then YouTube takes it down within 24 hours. So, but Tucker Carlson's a very middle of the road kind of person, even though that he's on a right wing news channel, Fox News. But yeah, he'll side with a liberal or even a left winger if it's appropriate. He won't hold back. But yeah, you get other TV personalities on there where they will not do that to save their life, for sure. I won't name names, but I'm sure you know who they are. So anyway, all right, I'm just rambling, aren't I? It's one of these rambling nights. I just want to play cards, man. To be honest with you, I don't like reading stuff. I don't even know why I did this to begin with, but that's all right. I do like to read stuff. I just like to read it for myself. But I've already read the articles that I've lined up for you. So you know what? Without any further ado, I'm sorry that you've gone so far into this so far. Let me just say that. Let's see. We're 41 minutes. Damn, time flies. Let's see. Fold, obviously. So let me just sit out here for a couple of hands just so I can get a couple of articles out of the way, because I did get some good stuff pulled up here. And I will try in the description for this video, I will try to say that I ramble for like 40 minutes. So if you want, you can just skip past all the whateverness and just get straight into the content. So I'll go ahead and start with the first thing that I always start with. I'm going to start with the coronavirus map that's been brought up by Johns Hopkins University. It's the most accurate thing that I found. And like I've said in a previous video, if you can find a map that's more accurate than this, that updates in real time better than this one, by all means, I will use that. And I'll even give you credit for it. But so far, this is the best thing that I've come up with. We're up to 173 countries now. Just a couple of days ago, it was 148 countries. And by the way, just to put a across the board perspective on that, there are 195 countries, including the two, if I'm not mistaken, it's including the two countries that are not technically recognized as countries, and I don't remember the second one, but the first one I can remember is the state of Palestine, where they don't technically recognize it as its own standalone country because it's integrated in with Israel. And I'm sorry if I'm getting that wrong. Please forgive me. I'm not Muslim. I'm not Jewish. I don't know much about Israel at all. I just know that they're a very strong ally with the United States, and we really like to have Israel as an ally, and I know we definitely pay them big time, for whatever it is we pay them for. But so we're up to 467,594 people who have been infected. It just keeps climbing faster and faster. I mean, that's the nature with pandemics. I mean, it's an exponential kind of game until it infects the world by and large. And then it starts to level off. I think the only thing that might cause the coronavirus to disappear faster than past viruses, such as the H1N1 of 1918, is because we travel so largely around the world so quickly that this thing will probably very, very quickly just mow through the whole world of all the countries and just kind of sweep its way through real quick, and then it'll be over with, hopefully. I don't know if that's really going to happen, but I don't know, closing down stores, closing down restaurants, closing down shopping malls, closing down everything. I think it's just holding up a tide that's always gonna, there's just no way you can hold the tide back. You can't do it. And I think that the coronavirus could be represented very well as the tide, because it's just something you just can't do. There's a lot of selfish people out there. There's a lot of people who don't care. There's a lot of people who think that they're young and who cares if I get sick because I'll survive, whatever. But they don't care. People coughing in their hands without even noticing because they lack the common sense. Then there's people who are they're just assholes, and they know that they have coronavirus, and they'll go out into public and they'll lick their hands and wipe their hands up and down on elevator buttons, and they'll squeeze doorknobs, and they'll spread it around as much as they can because they just want to watch the world burn. But that's the world we live in, people. I mean, if you don't want to get this, you have to be insanely OCD right now. I mean, like to the level that I was when I went to the grocery store last night. That's how OCD you really have to be. And honestly, what I did was crude because I didn't use anything that was going to technically block coronavirus from piercing through my fabric to begin with. So I just did the best with what I could do with, and it was better than doing nothing, in my opinion. But anyway, so let me go ahead and go to the next article. The next one it's going to be the Dow Jones because I have been forgetting that lately. And let me just go ahead and see if I can find it here. I can't see. Oh, there it is. That should not be there. That should be way over here. All right. So here's the Dow Jones Index for today. This is a light at the end of the tunnel, if there ever was one, since this whole thing began. We went up another 500 points after yesterday, which we had the biggest single day gain in the stock market since 1933. Crazy. That's the biggest, and this is percent-wise, not points-wise, because clearly we've never been anywhere near this back in the 30s in terms of the size of the stock market, but percentage-wise, the amount, it went up almost 12% just yesterday alone, which is unbelievably crazy. So this is a really good testament to what the president's been saying as far as how quickly we're going to be able to get back to normal after all this is said and done. Because the economy's not, I mean, it is hurting right now because people are furloughed and they're not working. And if this goes on for months, then yeah, that can last for years and years, the damage, because of all the companies that will just have to file bankruptcy. But if this is a short-term thing, then I think he's right. Everything will bounce back really quickly. Because when we came into this mess, we had like 2.6% unemployment. I mean, insanely low. So we'll get through this, hopefully. Just as long as it doesn't throw us too many curveballs. But, all right, so let's go ahead and get into the nitty-gritty here. Let's start here with number 2. Let me take a quick break. This is pertaining to the NHL. I'm sure by now you've already read the title. So yeah, they postponed the 2020 draft and the scouting combine. The award show because of the coronavirus. The NHL has postponed 3 signature off-season events because of the coronavirus pandemic. Per an official announcement, the 2020 NHL draft, scouting combine, and NHL award show have all been delayed. Dates, location, and timing for the drafting combine will be determined at a later date. Per ESPN's Greg Wyshynski, the announcement seems to imply there won't be any award show for the 2019-20 season. The scouting combine was originally scheduled to take part from June 1st to June 6th, take place in Buffalo, New York. The 2020 draft was going to follow from June 26th to 27 in Montreal. The award show was scheduled for June 18th from the Hard Rock Hotel in Las Vegas. Big events, millions, if not maybe north of $100 million losses in those cities that they will not ever get back. I mean, just try to picture that. That's where our economy starts to fall short. Because these events aren't happening, hundreds of millions of dollars combined were going to be infused into those local economies, and they're just simply canceling it. It's just not going to happen. So all that money just ceases to exist. People are going to spend that money elsewhere. Now, the locals will spend it there still because they live there, but most people who are going to these events are not from there. They're going to spend their money in that city, and that's what that city was depending on. That's why when you cancel something like that, like in my case in Tampa Bay with WrestleMania, by canceling that, I mean, they were talking hundreds, at least over $100 million that the city of Tampa is not going to get. So they're going to have to try to find a way to allocate that money because they had already budgeted their books, I assume, to handle that kind of an income. And I'm sure they've already dispersed it around the city before it even got here. I'm sure it's already been set in stone. But now they have to go back and they have to redo their books just because this one event's not happening. And you compound that over a months-long process, and that's where you start to see the economy taking a nasty hit. So the league said it doesn't anticipate a scenario in which the 2021 regular season would have to be shortened if this season resumes and the playoffs extend into July or August. I would not count on that at all. I mean, I hope I'm not right on that. I hope that Easter will be that day that we can get back to work and get back to normal. I'm not optimistic with that, but I'm definitely hopeful for it. But just the way this virus is spreading around the world, and humans have zero immunity to it, and it lies dormant inside a person for days on end as they are infectious. Yeah, I don't think this is over anytime soon, folks. But there's some NHL news. I'm a big Tampa Bay Lightning fan, so I wanted to throw some of that out there for fellow hockey fans. All right, so let's go ahead and jump to 3. Washington Times. I don't think I've used them yet. Maybe I did in my first couple. Florida. Okay, that's why I picked this. Florida, my neck of the woods, sees a 400% jump in gun sale background checks amid coronavirus fears, says a report. Now, this should alarm a lot of people in Florida at the very least, because people love their guns in Florida. Lots of people be buying guns in Florida. Lots of people. And for it to quadruple the amount of people buying guns, now because it's the coronavirus, I mean, 400% jump, that's probably echoed throughout every single state in the country, probably in every country of the world where guns are allowed to be owned by private citizens. So that's not much of a shocker to me, but I saw which state they were doing the report on, and I obviously the article is like as small as you can get, so I figured, why not? Gun background checks have skyrocketed in Florida as fears surrounding the coronavirus ramp up, according to a report Wednesday. Last Friday, the Florida Department of Law Enforcement reported with 13,192 background checks, a nearly 400% increase from 2,646 background checks on the same day last year, CNN reported. The 13,192 background checks also represent a 128% increase from the 5,783 background checks conducted the previous Friday. So, I mean, that basically just says that this time last week, we're up 128% from last week. So, yeah, people will be buying their guns. I'm surprised anybody has any guns left, because the website that I went to, I'm not going to name them because I don't plug people, but the website that I use, like I said, when I was hooking up Betsy, she was bought from the same website that I'm speaking about, and they've had these like bright red banners across their homepage saying that orders are taking like 5 weeks, 6 weeks, something like that. Like it's a very delayed process because their inventory has been wiped out, and they say it a lot better than I do. But anyway, yeah. So if you were hoping to buy guns or ammunition in the wake of this coronavirus situation, I mean, good luck. At this point, good luck. I mean, I purchased Betsy back in like early January, and damn, I'm glad I did. And coronavirus was not on anybody's radar except maybe the government back then. I mean, I certainly hadn't heard of it. I mean, I heard coronavirus, I heard it used, but it was way deep in China at that point. And I just bought it because I had the money, because I'd saved up. I think it took me like 4 months, 5 months to be able to save up enough to be able to get this firearm. And I was at a point where I was thinking, well, I mean, she's always going to be worth something, even if she's fired. Even if she's a used gun, she's still worth something. And it's either that or just putting it away for retirement. But by God, I'm going to get an AR-15 at some point in my life. So I finally just caved and got her. And damn, I'm glad I did now. But anyway, yeah, if you're looking to get a firearm, best of luck to you. If you can find one, and if you find a good deal on one, plug it into the comments of this video below for sure, because I'm sure that there's a lot of people out there who'd be interested in finding out how you got one, if you're able to get one on the 25th of March in 2020. But the dozens of people who watch this. All right, so that was probably number 4, wasn't it? Oh, no, it wasn't. Okay, good. I didn't skip over this one. Coronavirus leaves older Americans cut off. We've been trying to fill that void. I highlighted some information. I hope this doesn't get... Oh, wait, where did it go? Where'd it go? Oh, no, you jerks. All right, well, I guess I have to paraphrase it because they're not going to let me see it. Stupid Wall Street Journal are a bunch of jerks because they're clickbait garbage media, See, if you hadn't noticed, with all this clickbait crap. And they want me to subscribe so I can get access to this for a second time, but I'm not going to. Basically, what the article was saying, let me click out of this garbage because I don't even want to give them any props whatsoever. Okay, so not them, but the article was essentially saying that that you have a lot of elderly people that are trapped. They're out on their own. They don't have any physical communication with anybody. Oh, I can't X these things out? I thought I could. Oh, remove. Aha. But yeah, there's a lot of senior citizens that are living in nursing homes, that are living in places where they are strongly encouraged to not have any direct contact with anybody else at any time because of their exposure, their vulnerability to coronavirus. So there's a lot of senior citizens that are emotionally in dire straits because they only have a few years left in some cases. Maybe some seniors only have 1 year left, and they just want to have the ability to spend time with their family. I mean, what better time to reflect with your family than the months that you have left to live because you're 90 years old? And these people are cooped up in nursing homes. So basically, the takeaway message is if you have anybody, a loved one, a grandparent or great grandparent, or anybody else who's a friend of yours or a friend of the family, anybody who is elderly, and they're trying to keep themselves safe, or everybody around them are trying to stay away from them in order to keep them safe, my grandmother included. My grandmother, she wants to go to Walmart. She actually went there last week, and that drove me nuts when I heard that. I'm like, you can't be going out there. Oh my God. And she's got some serious medical problems. She lives in assisted living. She's not taking this as seriously as she should. But if you have somebody like that, it's you really want to insist that they stay safe so they can live a little longer, if just in the event that they get infected. But I mean, you also understand their frustration. I mean, put yourself in their shoes. I mean, they don't have much time left. They're already in assisted living or they're in a nursing home. I mean, their days are numbered at this point. So they don't want to spend what precious time they have left in isolation away from their loved ones. That's not how anybody wants to leave the world. So what I would suggest, and this honestly, I didn't read this anywhere in this article, but what I would honestly suggest would be to use FaceTime, or if you're still old school like me and you still use Skype for video chat, even go through those channels. Just do something to communicate with them so they see your face. They see your mouth moving when you talk to them. They actually see you speaking to them through a screen. And I know it's so weird. FaceTime's not normal yet. Maybe give it 20 more years. Maybe finally we'll get used to talking to each other through phones and actually seeing our faces. I mean, a lot of people are standoffish about it. And by that, I mean, try this. Or maybe you're starting to realize this. Oh, you love FaceTime. It's awesome. You can just hit somebody up and then you can just see each other, like when you're just communicating. Oh, that's pretty cool. But do that to somebody who is not familiar with FaceTime. I know I had 2 threes. I'm letting that go. It's not worth it, especially with an ace out there. But somebody who's not used to FaceTime and you just suddenly hit them up and their phone's ringing saying that they're getting a call from somebody through FaceTime, and they just ignore it, and you're like, well, what the hell? They always have their phone with them. Why did they ignore that? Because people are not quite comfortable enough with just, you know, their face on a screen talking to another face on the screen. It's just weird. I mean, it makes humans feel weird because our brains are so insanely intelligent that we see who we're talking to, but it just feels awkward because we're not in front of the person we're talking to. We're talking to a freaking phone. So it's strange. It doesn't make sense. But in the case of the coronavirus, you have to do the best with what you have. And I know seniors would be, it'd be way more difficult to get them used to that system because, you even get people in their 20s still today that aren't used to doing that, using FaceTime, that is, or using, Skype or using whatever medium that you can use to actually have a person-to-person conversation without being in the same room. But yeah, and especially if you have a senior who's in assisted living, get a hold of your cousins, get a hold of your siblings, get a hold of your parents and your aunts and uncles, get a hold of anybody you can and drill their asses and get them into calling your loved one who's trapped in that nursing home. And if they get a lot of feedback from people, a lot of people calling in, I mean, seriously, if you just called and just talk to them for like 30 minutes. How did your day go? And also, by the way, don't make it all about you. Even if your grandparent didn't do anything at all, they're like, well, I just stayed in bed and I didn't have much of an appetite because the new medication they put me on just it hasn't been working very well, and whatever it is, just keep probing. Well, what did you do? Did you watch anything on TV? I mean, was there any activities that happened today? What'd you have for lunch? Did you watch any news today? What did they talk about? Maybe I didn't hear about it. Just don't make it about you. Just keep them engaged, because it's not about you, it's about them. They don't give a flying crap what you had to deal with in the outside world, because you're 50 plus years younger than they are, and you can get through it if you were stuck with it. So they don't want to hear about how you were, oh my God, I was trapped in traffic because the stupid mall was closed, and it was just, oh my God, it took like 10 extra minutes. And then somebody was like coughing on the other side of the room and I was trying to order my dinner, and oh God, it was so frustrating. Jeez. Yeah, your grandparent is not going to give a shit about that, because they're trapped in a place that they cannot get out of, because if they leave, it could very well kill them if they get this coronavirus situation that we're dealing with. So make it about them, okay? Make it about them. For once, don't be selfish. Now remember, which one of you has way more time left on this earth? All right? You can donate your time to somebody who helped create you, especially if it's a grandparent. I'm just saying. You got to put your elders on an extremely high level of respect, because they're not going to be here for very long, and they deserve to be treated like kings with what they've been able to create throughout their lives, which in most cases, especially when you're talking to grandparents, is you. You were created by these grandparents. If it weren't for them, you wouldn't even be here. So I don't think it's much to ask to give them 15, 20 minutes worth of your time for one day, every single day. All right? Because if it wasn't for them, you wouldn't even have to deal with this, because you wouldn't have existed in the first place. So how's that for selfishness? Don't answer questions, ask questions. Everybody loves being asked questions, no matter how big or small. How much money did you save last week? Did you get any coins last week? Like, I heard you were collecting change, like in the last couple of months. How much change have you saved up so far? Well, you haven't counted yet? Well, you ought to count the change. Count it. I mean, that'll keep you busy for 45 minutes, maybe, because I knew you had a big jar of change last time I was visiting you, Graham. Just stuff like that. I mean, whatever it might be. I don't know. All right, let me go to the next one. I mean, it just frustrates me because people don't respect their elders, and people are just too selfish these days, to be blatantly honest. So this is really cool. All right, so moving on to the next one. This luxury hotel company offers COVID-19 service with 500 coronavirus tests. This is actually interesting. It is pretty interesting, because hotels now are taking a giant hit from coronavirus, because people don't want to stay in hotels, because people have to hunker down, save their money. They can't go to the hotel's restaurants. They can't go to the hotel bars. They can't really do anything in the hotel except use the room in the hotel, which turns off, I don't know, probably 90% of the people who would stay there in the first place. So what these hotels are doing right now, this one in particular, if you book a night in this room, they will give you a coronavirus test, at least according to the title, unless it's fake news misprint. It's Forbes. I mean, anything could be expected from them, but I will go ahead and read the content below, which is not incredibly numerous. A lot of clickbait crap, but yeah, I still got the meat of the article highlighted for you. And I'm sorry if you don't like the color pink. The only reason I do it, actually, I'll show you right now. Check this out. I haven't done this yet in my videos. All right, these are the colors I have to choose from. Say I go with yellow. All right, is that better on your eyes? Does that look better to you? No? When I read it, probably not. All right, how about green? Let's try green. Oh yeah, that looks much better, doesn't it? No, that's not hurting your eyes at all right now, is it? All right, well, let's try aqua. Yeah, that's probably about the same, right? Okay, so sometimes I pick orange, and sometimes I pick pink. And the reason I do that, pink to me feels like the most neutral color, especially when I cursor over it like that, because it just darkens it a little bit, so it's kind of easier to read. And this is just for my sake, and I guess it's for the viewer's sake as well. So when I'm reading, you're going to know that I'm going to be within these color lines. But if you got sick of looking at pink, it's not because pink is my favorite color. Actually, green is my favorite color. Actually, my eyes are very green. 2% of people on Earth have the color green in their eyes. I'm German. I mean, hence the name Spathon, but I'm not German. I'm American. Actually, my great, hold on, let me see how many times I can count it, because I actually found all this out. It took a while to figure it out, but it was my hold on, I think maybe one more um, grandfather was in the Revolutionary War, and fought for the side of the Americans. He was one of those German. I don't know if he was a slave or not, because back then, I mean, that's really skewed, because whenever you hear slave, you instantly think African American. But back then, Revolutionary War times, there were German indentured servants that were brought over to the United States, and they were expected, because they were brought over by wealthy people, I assume, because they were brought over to the New World, that they had to serve like an indentured servitude for being allowed to come into the United States back then. I mean, this was like pre-Revolutionary War, so it was the colonies back then. But to be able to pay for your passage and your boarding and whatever it is that your situation was, there was indentured servitude, and apparently that was fairly common amongst the German people, and that's where my great 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 grandfather came from. And I know his first name. I won't share it, but I do know it. And he did serve during the Revolutionary War. So my family's been around that long. As German as my last name is, and as uncommon as my last name is, that is the truth. I mean, as far as I'm not going to give him my first name, but my first name is an extremely common first name. And it's a biblical name too. But it's the only name, first name and last name, belonging to one person in the entire planet right now who's alive, and that's me. So anyway, I don't know where did where did I segue into that? Whatever. I'm in a good mood right now. I found out I'm going to work at home starting the week after next. Like I'm filled with good news right now. I'm excited. So, but if you have been displaced by work, and if you're just trying to get your information through here, I really do feel for you, because I have a bunch of relatives right now who are not working either. And to be honest with you, because I make way less than $75,000, I'm probably going to be getting 100% of that economic stimulus package thing, and I don't want it. I really don't want it, because I mean, I wish I could share how much money I make, because it's so ridiculous, like how little I make compared to so many other people, especially in the place that I live at. I mean, not the house, because the house I live in is pretty small. I'm not talking about an affluent area at all. Though there are pockets. I mean, that's kind of how Florida works in some places. Like, there's one neighborhood that's like mega rich, and then the neighborhood right next door is dirt freaking poor. I mean, that's just how it happens here. But um, but I don't want that money. That $1,200 that they're going to send to me, I don't want it, because I'm working perfectly fine. I've got a full-time job. I'm thankful for that. I would rather, like, what would you rather take? Would you rather take a full-time job making whatever it is that you're making, or would you rather not have that job and just get $1,200 in the mail tomorrow? I think the answer to that is pretty clearly obvious. I'll call it. I don't want to call that, but I hate the ace 8 because it never works for me, but maybe this time it will. I know it's the ace. Can't fold the ace. Oh my god. See, you still have the top card on the board. Yeah, okay. Well, pair of sevens, pair of fours, pair of queens. Ace is dead. But, yeah. I'm gainfully employed. I work for 26 different hospitals put together, because it's a network of hospitals. I think I'm going to be all right through a coronavirus epidemic or pandemic. But there's a lot of people out there in restaurant industries and hotels and hospitality and retail and just name it. When you're dealing with the public, you're having trouble, staying afloat right now. And I don't want my money to be sent to me, because I'm still working full time. I can support myself with what I was making before this. Just like millions of other people out there who's making less than $75,000 a year, they're going to be getting the same check that you're getting, minus I would hope that at least you're going to get the unemployment aspect of it if you're furloughed right now. But there's a lot of people out there who's going to be cashing in on a $1,200 check, and they don't deserve a freaking dime from it, because they're still working full time. And it really pisses me off, because I don't deserve it. I don't want it. And to be honest with you, if I get it, I mean, I'm not just going to, throw it away to somebody, who may or may not need it. I mean, I have no choice as a taxpayer but to keep it, but I'm going to put it away. I mean, without giving too much information about myself, I mean, as little as I save, over the last few years, I've been able to save a little bit of silver. And what I might do, I might just buy some silver with it and just stash it wherever I stash it, and, you know, safety deposit box, and just let it chill there for like 10 years until my daughter grows up, and I'll be like, here you go. That $1,200 that you're going to have to pay for me down the road, because that's how national debt works. If you borrow against the future, your grandchildren are going to have to pay off the debt that you took so selfishly because you're so blind greedy. If you are gainfully employed right now, then there you go. But if you're out of work right now, you deserve every dime you're getting, especially if you're in the restaurant industry, the hospitality industry, the retail industry, and all those other industries that people who go shopping, people who enjoy their day out in public. Every person who's working in the professional, working in a professional aspect, I mean, those people are enjoying their day. Like if they're sitting in a restaurant, they're enjoying their time with their family or their friends. They're goofing off. They're getting drunk. They're doing whatever. And then you as the server, or you as the cook, or you as maybe the retail associate who's showing off whatever it is that you have in inventory at your store. I mean, you're dealing with them. They're having a fun day if they're casually shopping in the mall or whatever. And now you're the one that's out of work. And the people that were casually shopping, having a good time, and if they're still employed right now while you're not employed, I think it's bullshit. I think it is that they're going to be collecting a check right alongside of you, and they're still working full time. So, with that said, I guess I'll just move on to the article. But, I mean, you've probably read it by now. I doubt you were listening to me, but this is in Switzerland. This isn't the United States. That I seriously doubt that this could happen in the United States. I don't think you could buy coronavirus tests privately, and if you could, you would get absolutely scrutinized for doing this. This would not fly in the United States. If you had a hotel in the United States and you were offering $500 a night for a room that was probably normally like $35 a night on the side of the interstate, some seedy, crappy place that you might end up getting bed bugs in, but you're like, hey, I got a coronavirus test for you. It's legit. We'll give you the results in the morning. Then maid's going to knock on your door with the local testing facility's results for you. It ain't going to fly here. That's not going to happen. But it apparently happens in Switzerland. So there you go. All right, let's move on to the next one here. La, 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 la. NBC? CNBC. 9 European countries say it's time for the corona bonds as virus death toll rises. And this is talking about how there's a bunch of countries who don't want to have to pay the debts of the other countries who suffered really bad under the coronavirus. But you know what? That's the nature of the European Union. You signed up for it. You wanted it. You saw Brexit. You saw the reason why the UK wanted to get out of this nightmare. And now you're going to have to deal with the decisions that you made. So if you're in the European Union, if you're in a country, like if you're, I don't know how it works. I don't know if like every citizen within the European Union has to pay taxes to them. I don't know how it works, but just know that this is going on, that they're trying to iron out the details of the financial losses that Europe's going to have to deal with in the future. Because yes, there will be countries that probably absolutely go bankrupt. And they also mentioned back in 2011, I know that Greece was one of those countries that went full on bankrupt, and that the European Union had to bail out their economy to try to keep them afloat because they were a part of the European Union. That's just part of the process. If you're part of the Union, you get to rely on those other countries that are doing better than you to get you out of the mess that you're in. So that was going on in Europe. Not here, but if you're in Europe, just might be worth looking into. Let's see. Why did I make 7 3 times for my bookmark? Lucky number 7, right? That's why. Lucky number 7. AMC Theaters furlough CEO. Whoa. They put the CEO on unemployment. I'm sure he was doing well before. He ain't hurting. I got a 6, but a 6 stacked up against all face cards. Yeah. You know what? Oh, no, I don't have a 6. That's a 5. I'm sorry. I have bad vision, and I wasn't leaning in. So I think clearly I'm going to fold this one. I know I have an ace, and if an ace comes out, I'm going to be pissed, but it won't. So there you go. Everybody else is folding. Take the chips. Let's rock and roll and move on. Come on, let's go. What am I getting here? Ooh, a Jackass. Okay, I'll go with that. So yeah, AMC, they're dealing with problems. All the movie theaters are dealing with problems right now. Yeah, I don't want your clickbait garbage. Yeah, so I didn't actually highlight anything. I don't know what this is pertaining to. The theaters. Oh, the amount of screens they have around the country. Yeah, obviously AMC is number one. Regal and AMC are the two big ones we have here in Pinellas County. Cinemark, I know Cinemark. I've lived outside the state of Florida before. I've actually lived in, I think, 6 different states without counting one after the next off the top of my head. But I believe I've lived in 6 separate states in my life. So, yeah, so I've heard of Cinemark. I've heard of Cineplex, obviously. No. We had a Sony theaters back in the 90s where I was growing up at the time. Yeah, apparently they're irrelevant. But anyway, so yeah, AMC is dealing with some crap right now. I mean, hell, they're putting movies that are supposed to be opening in theaters right now. They're putting them out on demand on the internet. That's freaking awesome. I mean, no, it is in some way. I mean, if you're poor like me and you can't afford to spend like $50 in the movie theater to get a box of popcorn and a box of candy and a large soda and your movie tickets, which usually runs over 50 really. And if you're having a really good paycheck, you might be lucky enough to get nachos that might cost like $15. And I'm telling you what, like on my birthday, because I always have that relative. It's an aunt usually, or it's a grandparent. They always send me like an AMC movie gift card that's like $20. And I swear by this. Every time that I get one for my birthday and we go to the movie theater, I always spend it on nachos because I love eating nachos during the movie theater. Some people, they like to eat the hot dog. Some people, they like just to snack on the popcorn. But no, I gotta have my nachos during a movie theater or like when I'm watching a movie in there. I mean, that just, I don't know why, but it hits the spot every time. Just snacking on my nachos and cheese. It's freaking awesome. All right, so let's see if I can not skip past, but let's see if I can rock and roll this out a little bit quicker here. This is on Fox News. Did you qualify for a stimulus check in the Senate's coronavirus response bill? Maybe you did, maybe you didn't, but they break it down here, and I did highlight this. I don't know if it's just waiting or if it's just not going to do it. All right, well, if you make over $75,000 a year, you shouldn't be having one anyway because you should have been saving a shitload of money. But if you don't have any money and you were making like $50,000 a year and you're depending on this next check that the government's going to give you, well, I should first tell you that you should be rechecking your priorities. Do you have a $500 car payment? Do you have credit card debt? Are you living in a house that you really shouldn't be able to afford, but you are anyway somehow? Do you have this awesome like cable TV package? Do you have a brand new smartphone, maybe an iPhone? I mean, just keep going down the list. Like, do you have a whole bunch of stuff here you really don't need? If you got rid of all that, could you still survive? Obviously, because that's what I'm doing. And I don't know, whatever. But this is out there. I don't really want to go into the numbers because it's honestly, like to me, it's just infuriating because there's a lot of people who are going to get a lot of money out of this who don't need a cent. So that's out there. I'm sorry, I'm just dropping the ball on this. I know. How long have I been doing this for? I think it's been going on a while. That's it? An hour, 18 minutes? Feels like it's been almost 2 hours by now. And let's see if I can wrap this thing up here. This is in Pinellas. This is our stay-at-home order policy. Starts tomorrow. Hillsborough County, they're following suit. They updated this article. Hillsborough County, as soon as they found out Pinellas enacted that, Hillsborough County. So if you live in the Tampa Bay area and you live in Hillsborough, which chances are you live in one or the other, maybe you live in Pasco, maybe you live in Manatee. I guess, like, if you want to call it the Bay Area. I mean, the news does, but whatever. Yeah, so stay-at-home policy happens in 24 hours. I don't want your clickbait crap. No, go away. All businesses that stay open will be required to post a sign with the county's policy and Centers for Disease Control and Prevention guidelines. That's cool. At the meeting in St. Pete, Rick Kreisman, which is funny because like 10 years ago, I didn't follow politics very closely until a few years ago, and I haven't lived in actual St. Pete, like in the actual city. I haven't lived there since 2010, so I'm not familiar with who their mayor was since I left. But when I left, it was Rick Baker, and now it's Rick Kreisman. So okay. Ooh, ace 2 3 4. The odds of getting a 5. I guess that's worth 500, right? Why not? I mean, I've only lost 5,250 bucks so far. Chips, not dollars. I'm not playing for money. I'm just playing for play chips. I mean, ooh, oh man. I'm sure there's some people that are screaming, "Call! Why aren't you calling? It's free anyway." Because a 5 won't come out, and he's gonna bet like 30,000 chips. See, I bailed. Screw it. Whatever. He wanted to show his crap. What did he show? It didn't show anything. Whatever. All right. So if we were playing for real money, I would have folded that. If he would have raised me that much on a 250, 500 blind, yeah, I would have folded probably. I mean, you got to think about it. You got a 1 in 13 chance, card for card. Yeah, if you're good enough at math, I guess you could, really try to up your percentages, but I wasn't getting a 5. Are you kidding me? All right, anyway. I mean, like if it was a high or a low chance, I would have called that, but so at the meeting, the mayor of St. Pete, let's see, he pushed for the commissioners to narrow fold what qualifies as an essential business and to ultimately enact a stricter policy. Under the county's policy, bookstores and hobby stores can stay open, for example. The mayor suggested alternative language that would close all non-essential businesses that require an in-person interaction. In some ways, I agree with that. Like, why should a bookstore stay open? Why should a hobby store stay open? I mean, I guess if you have a counter argument to that, it's because Amazon's only delivering essentials. And if you're cooped up in your house, you can't go to the library because I'm sure those are all closed. So I guess really the point of the story is that this thing was coming. And we knew at least a week before. I knew a month before. I prepared. I got 2 months worth of food that I stocked up on weeks. Like literally 3 weeks before the national emergency was declared. And people just didn't care. They didn't care about it. Or the fake news media wasn't informing you properly. But you should have enough stuff in your house to keep you occupied. Watch TV, watch Netflix, watch Amazon Prime videos, watch Hulu, watch Apple TV. There's a ton of services like NHL hockey, like their television channel. They're showing tons of content from past seasons. I think the entire, what was it, like the entire 18-19 season maybe? Or no, it wasn't. It was the current season. Like every game during the current season, they're rebroadcasting on demand. I mean, there's tons of stuff you can watch out there. And if TV's getting too boring, well, buy a video game. Like go on Steam. Start video game or be a gamer. I hate playing video games, but, don't take my advice, but put a puzzle together, spend time with your family, get to know your kids a little more than you might have already known. There's other things than actually going out and exposing yourself to this virus and bringing it home to your family. I mean, are you freaking kidding me? We're supposed to isolate people. Isolate. So that's it. Let's see if I can finish this thing up here. Yeah, I cleared all the big sevens, didn't I? Yeah, that was that one. So, yeah, I think I got through everything. And if I didn't, I'm sorry. It's just the luck of the draw. Oh, check. I got a pair of 4s, which is garbage. Lowest possible pair. Pair of 9s come out, so best I got is 2 pair. I'm not calling 7,000 because that's insane. See? Trips. 3 of a kind 9s. Somebody might have been like, oh, I'm going to call it, but they don't have anything. Well, they did have something, and I knew they had something. That's why they bet 4,000 chips. Hell yeah, I'll call that. Applejacks? And earlier in the video, I had a Jack Ace, which was, if you followed the lingo of Texas Hold'em poker, that was Jackass. But this one is an Applejacks. I think the colors have to be suited a certain way. No, I don't think so, actually. I think as long as it's an A and a J, it qualifies as an Applejack. 7-8 blank 10 jack. So my stepbrother, actually, when I was growing up, my dad has divorced his ex-wife at this point, but at the time they were married, I had a stepbrother. His name was AJ. Interesting. He's an Applejack. Ooh. What should I do, folks? Should I call it? God, that looks so good, but I don't trust what I have. Fine, I'll call it. Oh my God. Seriously? All right, go ahead and bet your 5,000 plus whatever it is you're going to do. Just lay down your freaking garbage that I'm going to fold to. I'm pretty much wrapped up, folks. If you want to quit watching, now's the time. Oh my God, dude. I'm not getting a 9. It's not gonna happen. See, it's not gonna happen. I folded. I would have thrown in, what was that, 3,000 chips, I think, for nothing. So there you go. That's how I play poker. I play very conservatively. Yeah. See, look. I mean, if I had that in my hand, if I had ladies in my hand, yeah, I would have been keeping up. But I'll make this my final hand. I hate a king. I mean, you can't make it straight with it. It's not even suited, so it's garbage. But we'll see how the table behaves here before we see the flop, which is the first 3 cards that come down. So we got Chile, we got Canada, we have Canada, we have the United States, Canada again, obviously the United States, United States, and United States, because everybody's hunkered down inside their houses. They can't go anywhere. And that's garbage. That's nothing. That's pretty much a wrap here. But I thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope you all stay super careful out there. When I went to the grocery store yesterday, there was still no toilet paper. People are freaking stupid. I did hear a coworker today. He said that he went to a store that I can't remember, but they actually were taking toilet paper out of the packaging, and they were selling it roll by roll. So I don't know if it was a mainstream store like Target or something. I doubt that, but he actually went into a store where he could buy toilet paper, but he could only buy a maximum amount of 5 individual rolls, and they were selling them individually. He didn't say how much they were, but he said that such and such store, and I can't remember because I already have toilet paper. So now, no, I'm not one of those idiots who went out and bought like bricks of toilet paper. I told my mother, who lives with me, if you haven't watched the previous videos, but I asked her, it was about 2 weeks ago, like before the shit hit the fan on Friday, day 1 of this national emergency. I think it was Thursday she went out, and she asked me if she should get anything. And I said, yeah, grab some toilet paper if you hadn't grabbed any yet, because I got paper towels, I got tons of food, not hoarding quantities, but I mean, come on, people. I went out shopping at Aldi. Okay, so it was slim pickings as far as the quality of food. I mean, now granted, Aldi does have some really good quality food. They really do. But I stocked up on a lot of canned goods back in early February, mid-February. The same with water. I was buying like 16 gallons at a time. I think I made 3 trips because I have about 50 gallons of water. And I've been holding on to that since mid-February. So when everything hit the fan and everybody started like crazy buying toilet paper and all that crap, I was way ahead of the curve because I watched Tim Pool. Because Tim Pool was a really good person to listen to at the time. He got me prepared. Ooh, 4, 5, 6, 7, open-handed straight. I'll check that all the way down. Let's see what you doing here. He's probably going to bet. Yeah, he did. And I'll call your 1,000. I'm going to let him sweat for a second. Let him be like, oh, what does he have? What does he have? Man, if a 7 comes out, oh man, a 4, 5, 6. Watch this. Watch what happens. The 7's totally coming out. Watch this. Boom. Ooh, straight 4 to the 8. What a great way to finish this video. And look at that. There's no flush possibility because all 4 suits are out. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Boom. I'm just going to go all in. Screw it. It's the end of the video. He's folding. See ya. And I took whatever I could. I ran out of time. Sorry. I mean, now if I actually wasn't doing this video and if I was taking my time, I probably would have just etched in like maybe 3,000 chips or so just to see if you'd call. But I don't have time for that. Now I have to go eat my dinner. and watch a game show or two, maybe Deal or No Deal, maybe Lingo, maybe Old School Match Game with Gene Rayburn. Who knows? But I love my game shows, so I'll probably go in there and watch one of them in the living room, get out of this bedroom that I'm set up in right now. And I hope you enjoyed watching this video. And until next time, which hopefully tomorrow will be that next time, and hopefully you'll be back here again, I will try to make it a little bit more structured in terms of the content that I can make available. But I mean, the truth is, like, the news is just kind of thinning out. Like, when I first started making these videos, like, it was so dramatic when all these things were happening. Like, states were shutting down, and just craziness was happening around the world. And it still is by and large. But I'll see if I can try to find some new stuff for you. The news is changing every day, so I will see if I can get some stuff. Some really good content. If there's any articles that you saw that you would like me to talk about, just throw it down into the comments of any of these videos, and I will make sure that I see it, because I check my analytics before I start a new video. And if there's additional comments that were posted to any of my past videos, I will see that number rise, because right now it's like all my videos that I've posted so far have 0 comments. Two of them have 1 comment, and I replied, I think, to both of those. So anyway, until next time, thank you so much for watching, and please stay extra safe out there. Keep your hands clean. If you're coughing, cough in your elbow. Just take all the precautions. Think about the people around you, and also you can be asymptomatic with coronavirus up to 2 weeks. So just to be 100% safe, assume you have it, and take the extreme precautions to keep everybody around you safe. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. And until next time, again, like I said before, stay extremely safe out there, folks.